Hey, Curtis.
Hey, Oz.
What do you got for us this week?
Oh, we got a treat this week, Oz. We've got Let's Go to Prison.
Okay.
Plus an episode of ER. Sprinkle in some Master of Disguise.
Ooh.
And top it all off with a heaping slice of Chicago deep dish pizza. This week, we're watching The Fugitive.
Chicago
pizza.
Yeah, we were talking last week just about, oh my gosh, like
how Chicago this movie is.
Like it's like, what do you think the casting call looked like? Was it just meathead?
Do you like Italian beef? Or do you have a big bushy mustache?
Right. Do you wear T-shirts to Bears games?
Do you have an inkling for Mike Dicker?
Right. It's like, oh man. But yeah, it's definitely for sure. It hits the Lou Malnati's.
Yes. Hey, come get a slice of Giordano's.
And
then stick around for a viewing at A Fugitive.
Yeah. Only apply if you can eat a full pizza of Giordano's. Yeah. Like only apply. So.
Bash the giardiniera.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Let's Talk About Flicks, the podcast where we take a monthly theme, but this month being good movies based on TV shows, and we discuss it and have some fun with it. I'm one of your hosts, Oz.
I'm the other host, Curtis.
And we do want to give a shout out to Patreon subscribers Don S., Aaron A., and May K. Thank you for your patronage, for sure.
Thank you.
Curtis, is there anybody you'd like to shout out?
I'm going to shout out The Score 670 personality, Mark Grody. Big fan of Harrison Ford. Whenever Mark Grody is on The Score, I always really enjoy when he delves into his Harrison Ford isms. And so Mark Grody, this episode is for you. Yeah. You find that man.
and I think we did. So we found Mark Grody.
We found Mark Grody.
Oh well, this is your week. So I'm going to peel back the onion of this cast. And it's a fun one.
Yeah.
There's some names that pop up in here that you're like, okay, all right, and then they're gone like immediately. So we start off with our main feature man here, Harrison Ford playing Dr. Richard Kimble.
Kimble.
You know, he's in virtually every scene, and if he's not in every scene, then every scene is about him. And so he's your chase down man. See, he's on a mission, and I'll let you get into the mission on the plot. Yes. But he's like the third leg of a relay race, in that he's chasing someone and he's also being chased. So our other lead in this movie is Deputy U.S. Marshal Samuel Gerard, played by Tommy Lee Jones, played exquisitely by Tommy Lee Jones. And
I don't care.
And his Academy Award winning for which I understand, because he was the supporting actor in the movie.
Yes,
I would almost argue he's just as much the main character as Kimble was.
Yeah. Well, in the opening credits, which take like 15 minutes, by the way. But, But the very first the title cards, it's Harrison Ford, Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
Bobby Joe.
Yeah, it was. We're gonna fill your screen from top to bottom, left to right, with the word Ford.
Harrison Ford.
And so we've got those two as pretty much our co-leads, even though Harrison Ford is your main billing here. Tommy Lee Jones, in my opinion, outacted him every step of the way.
Well, there's a reason he took home the Oscar.
Oh, for sure.
I was just looking pre-show. I was looking at some of the other people they were thinking of casting there. And it was like John Voight, Gene Hackman, where I could see Gene Hackman.
I could see Hackman. Yeah. I could see Hackman.
But like Kevin Costner, Mel Gibson, like no.
John Voight at this point in his career, like at this time, possibly. Because he's not quite at Anaconda level yet.
You beat me to it. As long as it's John Voight as his character from Anaconda.
Right. I would even take John Voight as the football coach of Varsity Blues.
As Sam Gerard.
but I know John Voight does have successful credits at his acting stable.
Yeah, they're in there someplace.
So we also have Cella Ward as a very brief but yet it's very important role as Richard Kimble's wife Helen. Mm-hmm. Tommy Lee Jones is right-hand man. Your like 80s, 90s movies everyman, Joe Pantoliano.
Joey Pants.
The guy is everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just everywhere. Obviously he was, of course, in, a very important role in Goonies, a very important role in Memento, a very important role in
The Matrix.
The Matrix. It's like, the guy's everywhere, and everything he does is great. It's like, he's very much like, he falls into that, I don't know, Steve Buscemi, of a stable of actors. Of you'll recognize him, and he'll do an outstanding job. But he's never going to be a lead anywhere.
No.
We have some other players here. We got Jerian Krabe as Dr. Charles Nichols.
We do.
We'll come back to that.
He's going to come back up later.
Andreas Katsoulis as Frederick Sykes. Who looks very Chicago as well. Somehow he looks a little bit everywhere. He looks Italian. He looks Greek. He looks Chicago.
He looks Chicago.
We've got other U.S. Deputy U.S. Marshals in there. We're just whatever. Julianne Moore pops in.
Yes. Yep. We got an early Julianne Moore.
In a very just brief role. We got the great Jane Lynch showing up.
Yes, Jane Lynch. I for a hot second, I thought about throwing like Best in Show into my
right. Yeah, but it's her role was so brief and non-comedic. I mean, you could tell it was like early career. I'll just get what I can get. But a speaking role, like she had lines.
Yeah. She's in 2 different scenes.
And so we've got and then just a bunch of cops like. We got like city cops. We got U.S. Marshal cops. I mean, that's really what we got. A couple of other prisoners that don't matter outside of. I don't know the actor's name, but he created the Jump to Conclusion mat.
That's right.
In Office Space.
It's a jump to conclusion, man.
I don't remember his name as an actor, but I always enjoy finding him in film as well. And Lester Holt as newscaster.
Yes, and Lester Holt is there. Channel 2's own Lester Holt.
Lester Holt
on the scene.
But yeah,
my 2 favorite of those cops. I think the actors' names are Ron Dean and Joseph Casala.
Yeah.
Apparently Andrew Davis casts them a lot.
Oh, really?
Because Andrew Davis is a Chicago filmmaker, and these guys, and as you said before, are basically the walking embodiment of Chicago.
They look like if you look at one of them and you're like, yeah, half the people here look like him, and then you turn and look at the other guy, and the other half look like that guy.
That's right. I don't want ketchup on my hot dog.
It's like you have tomatoes, right? Yeah. And like even I looked over here, like even a very early role for Scrubs janitor Neil Flynn.
Yes, Neil Flynn, Jan Etor, as his character is named in Scrubs.
Yeah, it's like you just see there's a lot of those those guys. Like I've seen that. Oh, I've seen that person. I've seen her before. And so that's it. It's you've got Harrison Ford, Tommy Lee Jones, and a bunch of that guy.
Yeah, basically.
So all right, that's it for the cast here. What do you got for a plot?
As far as the plot of The Fugitive, this movie's over 2 hours long.
Yeah.
So I'll do my best to condense this and just hit the high spots. We start on the Chicago skyline, because this is clearly a Chicago movie. And Helen Kimble in black and white is wrestling with the one-armed man. She's shot, and the black and white colors invert.
Yeah.
Tricky filmmaking.
Right. Yeah. Whenever you can reverse the negative on film, you know you're in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yes.
Whether it's a music video or because that's about the extent of look, our special effects budget is low, but watch this.
They just cut Paula Abdul out of the final cut of this movie.
Yeah. I will say this though. I really enjoy this movie. You're late to dinner with this movie. You show up, you don't have to wait to order. The food's on the table.
Yeah,
you know,
it throws you right in.
Yeah, and like you said, even during the opening credit, you're not really sure what you're watching. You're thrust into it that quickly, and then of course it all materializes, very quick. So I really enjoyed that. There wasn't any build up there. It wasn't like meet our cast and let's see what they're up to. It's like, hey, here's Cella Ward. Hey, they're what Cella Ward.
Yeah, and she's dead.
Yeah, and the credits aren't even over. Not even, barely even started yet.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
So yeah, we meet Dr. Kimble. He's being walked out by the two most Chicago investigators there are.
Yeah.
News reporters are there. We flash back to the Kimbles. They were at a big fundraiser dinner that evening. Dr. Nichols is there. On the drive back, it's Kimble's wife. They didn't drive together, so Kimble got a call. He had to go to the hospital to help with a surgery, so they didn't arrive back at home at the same time. At the station, the detectives are questioning him. He admits they own a gun. She scratched him while he tried moving her, so his skin is under her fingernails. He says he fought Oz with a one-armed man.
Yeah, six-fingered man.
Fought with Christopher Guest.
My name is Richard Kimble. You killed my wife. Prepare to die.
Prepare to die. He says, during this interview, my wife's family is wealthy, and he's the sole beneficiary. And you really see where this is going.
It's like they should have cut to clipboard cop is holding with a bunch of check boxes. Check. Rich wife, check. Sole beneficiary, check. It's like
skin under fingernails, check.
Right. It's like everything that you would have to incriminate yourself with, or your motives are right there.
Mm-hmm. He becomes upset when they insinuate that he killed his wife, and he starts sobbing, and that's where we get Mark Grote's favorite line: "You find that man.
You find him.
You find that man. It was a one-armed man." We're then thrust to the trial. The detectives say there was no forced entry, nothing was stolen, his prints are all over the gun and the bullets. There is a 911 call of Helen saying, "Please help me, he's trying to kill me, Richard."
Right.
It's hard to argue around that one, Oz.
It's pretty clear cut. I mean, and it is nice because, excuse me, so many times, and you and I have watched a lot of movies where the law enforcement is just dumb.
Yeah.
And it's like we watch it and there's no questioning. It's like so much work is done in a lot of other movies to make the police officers look like bumbling idiots.
Yeah.
That I give a lot of props to, to the screenwriter and story or whatever, and even director of we're gonna make this look pretty airtight to where you don't blame the law enforcement.
It's hard to argue against the evidence that's presented.
And it's so, even when we know that he's innocent, to see especially the Chicago cops keep leaning on he's guilty. You said, you can't really fault him for it because every finger points at Richard Kimble.
Yeah. It's all there.
Yeah.
He's sentenced to a federal penitentiary and death by lethal injection.
Yeah.
We cut to, as the opening credits finally start to come to a close here, 15 minutes later. He's being transported by bus down to downstate Illinois with 3 other inmates. While they're on the bus, the other 3 inmates start making eye contact with each other. Something's up.
Oh,
and Kimble has kind of a look of panic on his face, what's about to happen?
It's like con bus.
Yeah. John Malkovich is there.
Right, yeah. Dave
Chappelle's there.
Yeah.
Steve Buscemi's
John
there.
Leguizamo.
They're all there.
Yeah.
White tank top Nicolas Cage.
That's right. Someone stole his bunny. It's weird. You wouldn't think you'd see Kimble on this flight, but he was there.
No, they were all there. It was an interesting intersection. So one of the inmates starts choking and kind of vomiting all over himself. One of the guards comes back to check on him, and this inmate who was choking shivs him.
Yeah.
He had a shiv with him, shivs him. Second guard rushes in with a shotgun, shoots that guy, shoots the inmate.
Just blasts him away.
Just right point blank in the chest, so he's gone. And of course, an inadvertent shotgun blast, takes out the driver, because that's what happens in these movies. People in the back wrestle over a weapon, and the driver gets shot.
It's a direct hit.
Right there. He slumps over. Yeah.
I don't know why they always hire like prison bus drivers to have like bullet vacuums.
Just sucks it right out.
Oh, it does, right at him.
So the bus rolls off a hill. The second guard, finally comes to arrest. The second guard throws Kimble the cuff keys, like, uncuff yourself and help my partner. And of course, as they come to rest on train tracks.
Yeah.
And there's a giant freight train bearing down on them. Kimble asks the other inmate, Copeland, to help him, but he just runs off.
Yeah.
Kimble gets the hurt guard out. The other guard has already run off as well. The one with the shotgun.
Yeah, they jumped to conclusion, Matt. Inventor.
Yes, yeah, he jumped to his conclusion off the train. Maybe that's where he got the idea.
Yeah, probably. I have an idea. Mike Judge, hear me out.
Yeah. And we get one of those iconic. There's a couple of really iconic shots from this movie. We get the one right here where Kimble is running away down the tracks from the train as it's barreling down on him. So eventually he gets out of the way. Copeland actually helps him out after the dust has settled a little bit here. A little bit later, U.S. Marshal Sam Gerard and his team arrive at the scene. As we meet Sam Gerard. Sam is very assertive, also very kind of sarcastic as well. The second guard, the one with the shotgun, he's on camera right now. He's describing himself as a hero. Oh yeah, he would have done the same for me, and talking about his partner.
Right.
And immediately Gerard calls BS.
It tears it down.
Something's off here. Takes over the operations from the local sheriff. They find empty leg irons, and they've declared Kimble to be a fugitive.
Yeah, the fugitive.
Not or an fugitive.
Right.
the fugitive.
La fugitive. Why is it that I've obviously never been a law enforcement officer, but obviously chain of command seems very important in law enforcement. Yet whenever the feds show up, why do the local guys always get so butthurt when they have to give up their operation? Like, because again, you see them constantly, like
Die Hard is what I think of.
Like ranking is very important in being a law enforcement officer. But like the U.S. Marshals show up, we're going to take over this case, and the sheriff's like, you are not. Like, dude, you're county, let it go.
Yeah.
You're not even a state guy. But it's like, it's like rank only. Well, I know the answer. Rank only matters when I get to use it. Yeah. It's I don't want you used on me, but it is funny. It's like, no, you lose. But yeah, like you said, when the FBI show up in Die Hard. And,
we better get some more FBI guys.
Right.
So Kimble's on the run, Oz. He steals a mechanic's coveralls to blend in. He sneaks into a local hospital. He's got a wound on his side that he treats. He shaves. He steals some, more clothes and food. He actually chats with a police officer on his way out of the hospital. Says, I fit the description of the fugitive, only, without the facial hair.
Yeah, looking right in the mirror.
Yep. Steals an ambulance. They ID him. They follow him in a helicopter, and eventually they trap him in like a viaduct tunnel.
Yeah.
He escapes down a storm drain, and he's going through these like storm drain tunnels, and eventually it's just him and Gerard. Gerard loses his footing. Kimble gets his gun.
Yeah.
Holds it on him, but eventually he comes to the end of the line, Oz, and Kimble is staring at I'm guessing what is probably a good 15,000 foot drop, because that's what they've made it look like.
He's at the Hoover Dam. Basically.
Yes. He's at the Hoover Dam on top of Mount Everest.
Where? Okay. Well, no, he's not back in Chicago yet. Never mind. Never mind. I was going to say, where is this dam located around Chicago? But he's not back there yet.
It's the Kankakee River.
Yeah. Never mind. It was they went through Nevada on their way to Southern Illinois.
Yeah, it's they didn't have tolls if you go that way.
Right.
So he's at the top of this big dam, and Gerard had pulled his second weapon, so he's got it on him. Give it up, and of course Kimble gives the "I didn't kill my wife" line, and Gerard gives the iconic "I don't care."
I know it bothered me, but at the same time, I love that exchange.
Yeah.
Like
he's doing his job.
Yeah. Like, you get it. Gerard, at that point, really doesn't care.
Yeah, I'm not the court.
Yeah. Like, I just, like, that's the line of this movie that really sticks with. It's just that look on his face when he's like, I don't care. Because he's supposed to be the good guy. Like, and that's such like just a blasé, I really don't care, that you're like, you're not the good guy. Richard Kimble's the good guy.
Yeah. I didn't kill my wife.
All right. Find that man.
You find that man, Devlin McGregor. That one comes later. That's one for you, Groats. And so Kimble has no other choice. He takes a header.
Yeah.
Off of this dam.
Turns himself into a rag doll and just throws himself over.
Yeah. It's amazing how he didn't move at all.
He was so calm on that trip down.
It's Harrison. He's a character actor.
Yeah, it's true.
He really gets into character.
And in this one, he was he's channeling his Woody from Toy Story as he goes limp when Andy's around.
So he limply jumps off.
What a limp jump.
Yeah. And ends up in, I don't know if it's the Ohio or what river is down here or whatever.
The river.
He ends up in the river because he is the fugitive. And eventually he comes ashore and he ends up at a truck stop, catches a ride up to Chicago.
He really lucked out. Like
he did, yeah.
No physical damage at all done to Richard Kimble, and that helps. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the takeaway. If you find yourself in need of taking a 7,000-foot jump, just let your body go limp, and you'll be fine.
Just don't get hurt.
Yeah,
just
it's good advice too.
Just don't get hurt. Just do that, and you'll be fine.
Just take the necessary steps to not get hurt, and you'll be fine.
Don't get hurt.
Yeah. Well put.
Yeah. So again, he catches a ride from somebody, and I love the editing in this little sequence here. He catches a ride from a woman and he goes north. It cuts back to Gerard's team. We got a call. They found him in Whiting. He got a ride from a woman. They've tracked her.
Yeah.
And you think immediately that it's Kimble. It turns out it's Copeland, because they're U.S. Marshals. They're also tracking Copeland down.
Right.
And so Gerard's team descends on the house that Copeland is in, and Gerard ends up shooting him.
Yeah.
Copeland got the drop on the rookie, because every one of these squads has to have a rookie.
No, there's always a rookie
that needs to be taught a lesson.
Yeah.
And Gerard shoots Copeland and tells the rookie, "I don't bargain." In the meantime, Kimble's back in Chicago, Oz. He's in Chicago. I enjoyed an Italian beef.
All right. Yeah, you did. You see him. He's down there on the pier.
Beef in one hand.
Taking in a Sox game.
Yeah. Can I get some extra jalapenos?
He and John Cusack are getting a beer.
They are. Bill Murray's there, too.
Yeah, Bill Murray's there. Yeah. He's in Chicago.
He calls his attorney on a bridge near a bridge by an L track, asks for money. The attorney declines. Kimble says, "I'm in St. Louis." We then get one of my favorite little sequences in this movie, because it really shows how well Gerard's team operates. So this attorney must have sent the recording of the call over to Gerard's office, and they're listening to what Kimble's saying. They're listening to the background, and despite the fact that Kimble says, "I'm in St. Louis," they're listening to all the noises, and they're like, "That sounds like an elevated train.
Yeah,
that sounds like a bell." And then they listen to there's a speaker from the local train station. Turns out that Kimble is 6 blocks away from where Gerard's team is located there in Chicago.
And that wasn't even scripted. That was just all Tommy Lee Jones and his knowledge of elevated trains across America.
That doesn't sound like the New York elevated train. It sounds like a Chicago.
Yeah,
because you can hear the wheels on the Jardinera.
It's that's right. They're squeaky.
Yeah. Kimble ends up renting a room with a Polish family, and he sneaks into Cook County Hospital, Oz, and goes to the prosthetics clinic and lab. I wonder what he's up to. He steals an ID from a custodian, gets some clothes. Concurrently, Gerard's team interviews Nichols, who Kimble had also talked with. And I said, hey, I saw Kimble this morning, but I'm not going to help. Richard is innocent, and he's too smart for you. You're not going to catch him.
Right. And you know what? He's right. Like, top to bottom, everything Nichols told him, he's right.
Yeah. Kimble ends up... he goes and talks to Jane Lynch's character because I think she helped with his research. I think that was the role.
Yeah.
Which, there's a little circuitous plot there, but they back at his new place. The police have surrounded the place, Oz.
Yeah.
My heart was a-racing at this moment in the movie.
There's one thing I'll give Dr. Richard Kimble credit for is he's a slippery guy.
He is.
You know, he finds a way out of every predicament, and a lot of times the way out happens to be an extremely wide open window, or like, these police don't do a very good job of surrounding the place.
Secure the perimeter.
Right.
Sure. Yeah, we'll get there.
Except for the east-facing wall. Leave that one alone.
Yeah. So it turns out that the police were there not for Kimble, but to arrest the son of the landlady, the landowner there. So they bring him back to the station, and he ends up IDing Kimble.
Yeah.
But again, not till after they have him back at the station, giving Kimble enough time to recognize what's going on and not go back there. That night, he sneaks back into Cook County Hospital and goes back to the prosthetics lab disguised as a janitor. He breaks into their database, gets the name of 5 people who had the specific type of prosthetic arm that he encountered on that side of his body. And so basically, he's trying to track down who the killer is.
Yeah.
That's the whole point as to what he's doing.
Yeah.
As he leaves, the ER is bustling. It's a big night in Chicago. Dr. Eastman, Julianne Moore's character, is leading there. She asks Kimble to bring a kid to a different room, and as Kimble wheels the kid away, Julianne Moore's character, Dr. Eastman, sees Kimble kind of looking at the kid's x-rays and nosing through his file. In the elevator, Kimble is very kind with the child, very comforting, corrects the diagnosis, changes the order, sends the kid to surgery, and saves his life.
Yeah, he's very... it's like this is his Clark Kent Superman moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you see a lot of that in the Superman films of Clark trying to stay disguised but still save the day. And
yes.
Do you think that's common in hospitals for doctors to ask janitors to run patients around?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All the time.
Part of the job description.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it just, like, when that happened, I was like, really? Like, just janitor, take this kid to this area.
I think it's even more common for them to expect the janitors to correct the misdiagnosis. Yeah.
It's such a prestigious hospital that doctors are staffed as janitors.
Yeah.
You just have to wait your turn.
That's how you earn your way up through the ranks.
It's like one of those Japanese schools where the students are also the custodians, like they sweep the floors and everything at the end of the day, just to really give a lot of like school pride. It's that
everyone on staff is a trained medical doctor. Everyone.
Cook County Medical is that way.
that's how they do things there. So Eastman kind of investigates, and she ends up confronting Kimble and calls security on him. Later, Gerard talks with Eastman, and she tells him what happened. He saved that boy's life. And then Gerard and Cosmo, Joey Pance's character, later talk about...
Gerard looks at her and goes, I don't care.
Did he save the boy's life?
Yeah.
What other points in this movie would that line be appropriate or not for? He saved that boy's life.
I don't care.
My job is to catch Kimble. I don't care that he saved that boy's life.
That's great for the kid, but doesn't help me.
No, it doesn't help me get any closer to Kimble. So Gerard and Cosmo talk about why would Kimble be so stupid as to come back to this place crawling with cops? And so they kind of start to put together that he's trying to solve his wife's murder.
Right.
Kimble ends up researching the 5 people from the database he got. He ends up going to Cook County Jail because one of them is presently there. And he talks to the man, clearly recognizes him. He's not the man.
Right.
In the meantime, Gerard's team has also kind of run their own search because they're trying to see where Kimble will go, and so they end up arriving to the jail as Kimble is kind of leaving, and Gerard recognizes Kimble.
Yeah,
they're going down a staircase, and he thinks he he sees him, and he goes, "I don't care."
Yeah.
Gerard yells Kimble.
Yeah,
and of course,
Kimble I think he just yelled Richard, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. He yells Richard, and Kimble turns and looks, and then takes off running. We get a great little kind of cat and mouse chase scene here. Because, of course, as you said before, there's always nice coincidences for Kimble. The St. Patrick's Day parade is right outside.
Yeah. Ferris Bueller was in this parade.
He was.
He jumped on the float as he was singing Donkashay.
Yeah, there was a choreographed dance sequence and everything.
Right. Abe Froman, the Sausage King of Chicago, had a car. And
Mia Sarah was there.
Yeah.
Everybody was there.
Yeah.
And so he ends up getting away because he blends into the parade. Shortly later, he enters a boarded up home in broad daylight. It's the one-armed man's house.
Yeah.
He sees a photo of the man, so he recognizes him. This is the guy, Oz. It's the one-armed man. He sees him with another doctor that Kimble knows, Lentz, Dr. Lentz.
Yeah.
He sees pay stubs from Devlin McGregor, who makes the drug of the future, Provasic. Gerard then gets a call from Kimble. Kimble calls Gerard's office, tells Gerard, "I just found a big piece of evidence," doesn't hang up, allowing them to trace the call.
Right. Purpose. I mean,
Yes.
you know it's done on purpose. I mean, he keeps him talking. Or because he just sets the phone down knowing he's going to be traced. But it's like, Richard Kimble is the smartest person in the universe.
Yeah, well, it's like Nichols said. Yeah, he's you too smart. You're not going to catch him.
It's like, it's like a lot of times you see like well-educated people lack the skills in certain areas, but not Richard Kimble. Like,
he's good at everything.
He was the best janitor on staff that day.
He was. He won employee of the month.
Yeah, right. In that short time he was there.
Yeah, he was there for one day.
Well, how many other janitors have kept the place spotless and saved a kid's life?
He also won employee of the month while he was here. I don't care.
I don't care.
So, oh God, where were we? So he calls Gerard. Gerard's team goes there. They're dusting for prints. Kimble had set aside a photo of Sykes, who's the name of the one-armed man, and Lentz for Gerard to find. And Gerard immediately thinks Sykes is dirty because Sykes has returned home and he's very kind of obstinate. He tells,
let's not kid ourselves. Look at the guy.
Yeah. He looks like a criminal.
He looks like Dracula.
They make him up to look.
Oh my gosh!
And
yes,
his personality, a very prickly personality.
It's like he wears a ankle-length trench coat everywhere he goes.
Yeah, he does. He's an ex-cop. He runs security for Devlin McGregor.
Right.
So he's clearly involved.
Which good for Devlin McGregor, because here's a man clearly not equipped to be like head security. Like, he only has one arm, but they're open-minded enough to be like,
yes,
good for Devlin McGregor.
Mm-hmm. A very inclusive workplace.
Very much so.
Yeah. Kimble gets Nichols on the phone, and he says, I found the killer. I found the one-armed man, and Lentz is behind it. So he thinks Lentz, the other doctor from the photo, is behind it. Lentz knew that Kimble found a flaw in Devlin McGregor's new drug, Provasic, and that the FDA wouldn't approved it based on Kimble's research.
Right.
Nichols says Lentz is dead. He died in a car accident the previous summer. So
how long was Kimble in prison?
27 years.
Didn't age a day, though.
No, didn't age a day.
It
was a long bus trip.
We're going to keep him 27 years with lethal injection.
Yeah.
Because that was the first time in the movie when they had mentioned Lentz died in a car accident last summer, that I was like, how long has Kimble been in prison? Because they never state it. And everything at the beginning of this movie happens so quickly that they never establish how long he was there.
With the trial and everything, you figure there was months with the investigation and all the legal proceedings. This is probably, at least a year and a half to 2 years later.
But, you just see, like, I don't know. For me, sometimes the timetable of the events of the film You know, like him getting a ride from Southern Illinois to Chicago, no big deal. It's a good thing that lady was headed that way.
Yeah.
Right? That he didn't have to like car hop several times to get where he was going. But it just, you know, just sometimes you're like, it's not clear how much time has passed.
Yeah. So later on, Gerard confronts Nichols again, and Nichols lies. He says, I don't know Lentz, because Gerard asked him, you know who this guy is. And so Gerard's just kind of confused. You know, I thought I had something here, but I guess not. Sykes gets a call from someone. He gets his gun, calls the fire department to his neighbor's house so he could distract the cops who are outside his home so he can get out.
Yeah.
Sykes is also a bright guy.
He's a smart guy.
Mm-hmm. Kimble takes the samples from the research.
He shouldn't have done that.
To Dr. Jane Lynch, who confirms that the samples have been switched.
Dr. Jane Lynch.
Dr. Jane Lynch. Whatever. She's right. Dr. Jane Lynch.
Dr. Sue Sylvester.
So here's the oh my god moment here, Oz. Lentz had signed off on the research the day he died, so someone else is involved. And Oz.
Who is it?
Kimble realizes it's been Nichols the whole time. Oh my god.
Not that smug guy. I will admit, it did surprise me, but it didn't surprise me at this point. Like, prior to this, you sniffed it out that Nichols is not necessarily the good guy. Early on, though, like, no, you felt he was on Kimble's side. And then as it rolled out, you're like, as soon as you heard that Lentz died in a car accident, you're like, oh, Nichols is behind it.
Yeah.
It was still a good twist. I'm not denying that, but it was... But if you just found out about it when Dr. Jane Lynch revealed, then you were a little late. Like, cause,
Dr. Jane Lynch.
Because it was really late out there.
So, let's see. It's revealed that Nichols lied to Gerard about knowing Lentz, and he was actually Lentz's boss. That night, Sykes gets off the phone with someone again, who says he's marked and he follows Kimble. Gerard's team uncovers that Lentz was killed very gruesomely in a hit and run. He was a pedestrian, got pinned on Lakeshore. He was like taking a jog or something. He got pinned by a car. Kimble. So we're in the third act here, Oz. Kimble takes the L somewhere. He's recognized by a passenger as Kimble. And he goes and tells Officer Neil Flynn.
Yeah, Officer Janitor. Everybody's got janitorial experience in this movie.
That's the through line in this movie. That's why they kept Kimble for 27 years and didn't give him the lethal injection. He was so good at cleaning up after himself.
He was a good janitor.
He was a good janitor.
They just followed him around with the needle, like the syringe. You missed a spot.
You gonna pick that up? That's how they do things.
Yeah.
Give him some Windex. Here you go. Right away, sir. So just as Officer Neil Flynn is descending on Kimble, Sykes pops into frame.
Oh yeah.
So Sykes is there. Yeah.
Because he had turned into a bat just outside of his house and flew. Yes. Like Sykes. Okay, L trains don't have hidden compartments, yet Sykes just pops up like he's been crouched down behind the
he was just hiding in his seat.
Exactly. Like he does, he just steps into frame.
He does. Yeah.
And I'm like,
it is a cool shot, but where was he prior to stepping into frame?
Yeah, it's like because it's cool shot, but it really doesn't hold when you think about it.
I thought about that. That was actually going to be a possible is where was Sykes prior to popping in a frame?
Because
he's just crouching down.
Right. Yeah.
So they get in a big fisticuff. Sykes ends up shooting into Officer Janitor, and Kimble ends up punching out Sykes, handcuffs him to a bar in the L. And, of course, we get a great Harrison Ford action line. You missed your stop.
Yeah. I'm glad Kimble, again, being the smartest man in the universe, was smart enough to handcuff his good hand to the rail and not his prosthetic hand to the rail. Yeah. I don't think he would have gotten loose.
Gerard's team is on the way. The radio says Kimble shot a cop.
Yeah.
So CPD has issued a shoot-to-kill order.
Yeah.
On Kimble here,
which is okay because again he's already on borrowed time because he's escaped the lethal injection.
Yeah.
So Kimble he's either going to die or solve this case.
Yes.
No matter which way he turns.
So Kimble ends up at this. There's a big speaking engagement that Nichols is at on behalf of Devlin McGregor. So Nichols is on the board of Devlin McGregor. Kimble walks in as Nichols is speaking about Provasic, about how safe and effective it is, and that it has no side effects, contrary to Kimble's research.
With absolutely no side effects. Yes. This is the only drug on the planet with no side effects.
Absolutely no side effects, yeah. Nichols sees Kimble, and he starts kind of stumbling over his lines,
right.
and, the crowd starts gasping. And right there, Kimble gives some of those great Kimble Harrison Ford lines.
Yeah.
You switched the samples after Lentz died. He falsified his research so that Devlin McGregor can give you Provasic.
Yeah. It doesn't it's a great scene, but the dialogue and the topic of the dialogue is pretty boring.
Yeah. Yeah, it's medical research.
Exactly. Right.
And pharmaceuticals. So Nichols and Kimble end up in a side room, and Nichols attacks him. Nichols just physically attacks him.
Oh, yeah.
He just comes at him.
He's a big dude, too.
Yeah, he is. They have kind of a weird fight.
Yeah, it is.
I think we'll come up a little later as well, but it's kind of a weird fight.
Neither one, they're both doctors, so I guess that's one area they probably don't have a lot of experience in, is like pugilism.
Pugilism. That was Nichols' minor.
Yeah, yeah.
Pugilism.
Yeah, whereas Kimble minored in fencing, so.
Yeah, well, he can handle a janitor's mop fine.
That's true, yep. He loved the Ninja Turtles.
He did. So they end up on the roof. Gerard ends up on there as well, because Gerard's team has descended on there. Gerard tells him, call off the helicopter. Why? Because I don't want to get shot. Kimble and Nichols crash through a skylight, fall unconscious into an elevator. They end up coming to on the world's largest laundromat.
Yeah.
So an entire floor of this hotel, this conference center, is a laundry floor.
Yeah.
So the climactic scene here, it's Nichols, Kimble, Cosmo, and Gerard are all there on the laundry floor. Gerard yells to Kimble, "The whole building's locked down. CPD thinks you're a cop killer. I know you're innocent." So he finally says it. He finally believes it. Nichols drops Cosmo. There's for some reason there's an I-beam on chains and a rail here, and Nichols basically hits Cosmo in the face.
Yeah.
Oh. I had read in the trivia that originally Cosmo's character was supposed to die.
Really?
But Joey Pants talked them into letting his character live in case there was a sequel, which there was.
Yeah. Yeah, he took that. Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, probably like a ton, like a literal ton to the face.
Because you see it coming, and it's it's one of those where the chains are moving faster than the beam because the beam's slightly behind, and then it just smacks him in the face,
just crushes him.
Yeah.
Nichols picks up Cosmo's gun, goes to shoot Gerard, but then Kimble gets the drop on Nichols, hits him with a pipe.
Because he took a trick right out of Sykes' book of "I'm going to hide in plain sight."
Yeah.
Because where Nichols picks it up, Nichols picks it up, and Kimble is we don't see him standing behind that we'll call it a washing machine or whatever.
Yeah.
But where Nichols was standing, he should have seen Kimble standing right there. He would have been in his peripheral vision.
Yeah, he was right there. But again, it's a movie.
Whatever. So
Gerard ends up taking Kimble out in cuffs, but they get him in the car and he uncuffs him. I thought you didn't care. I don't. Don't tell anybody, okay?
Right. And then they kiss.
Yeah. And they share a tender moment.
Right.
They gently lean into each other.
Right. They kind of nuzzle temples together.
And that said, they drive away as the credits roll. And that, my friend, is 1993's Andrew Davis helmed The Fugitive.
The Fugitive.
At this point in the show, folks, Oz and I each give our own unique rating to the film in question. In this case, The Fugitive, not A Fugitive or An Fugitive. The Fugitive. Oz,
Los Fugitive.
How would you rate this flick?
I'm going to give this 8 prosthetic arms.
8. That's a good rating. 8 prosthetic arms.
It's a good movie.
It is.
What do you got?
I'm going to go with 92 switched samples.
Oh, that's a tough one. I wonder how many switched samples there were, because there was a lot of, it was like a kidney medicine. And there was a lot, like, how many kidneys did Kimble have to go through on this trial to, like, build up enough of a case to know that it was wrong?
Yeah. It's a lot of kidneys he went through.
It's Chicago Med. There's a lot of patients.
It's Chicago.
No, Cook County Med.
Cook County, yeah.
It's the only hospital in the entire county.
The entire state.
Yeah. It's a national hospital.
It is. Next up, folks, our next segment, Outside Insights. Folks, Oz and I have been scouring the interwebs, searching for unprofessional reviews that tickle our funny bones, and we hope they tickle yours as well. Oz, what is your Outside Insight?
I have a 1-star review from Beck Shilley on Letterboxd.
Okay.
They say, The Fugitive, starring that guy from Star Wars, Han Solo versus authorities, another film highlighting the brutality of the American law enforcement system. Similar to a primary school game of cops and robbers, featuring a few more trees and this one scene where a prison brush crashes. 1 star.
That's one scene.
Yeah. It's like cops and robbers, but with a few more trees. All right. Thanks, Beck Shilley. That was left September of 2016. So.
Okay.
What do you got?
My outside insight comes from the Internet Movie Database. This is a 2 out of 10 review from Quadrophenia, left in April of 2020. It's relatively recent as the time of this recording. So, watch this movie again on Blu-ray. At the start of the movie, the wife gets hit by a heavy object and has a hemorrhage, but still able to phone the police. I don't know, she still looked okay to me.
Well, buddy, there's a job waiting for you at Cook County Med.
I hope he's got custodial experience.
I don't know, she looked okay.
She looked okay to me.
Guess I should have roughed her up a little bit more.
She had a hemorrhage.
Yeah, I hate those.
Hemorrhage, yeah. All right, folks. Hey, it's time for our signature segment, the 3-2-1, in which Oz and I each share 3 goods, 2 bads, and 1 about the film in question, in this case, The Fugitive. Oz, what are your 3 goods?
My first good is something we mentioned earlier on. This movie wastes no time getting started.
Yes. It just jumps right in.
And I like that, where because there wasn't a need to introduce all of our characters before this happened. So I really like how we start with the crime and then we meet the key players as the movie rolls out. So that's my first good. Second one, Tommy Lee Jones. Just absolutely amazing performance. It's like so much of his, especially what we know of his law enforcement characters or like his Men in Black characters. And this is a little bit of Agent J, but just so much more. He reminds me of a little bit in The Usual Suspects. I think it is the head detective, is that Chaz Palminteri?
I think so, yeah.
Where when he's in there with Kaiser Soze all the time, hitting him up, but there's one scene where he leaves the interrogation room to come out and get coffee, and as soon as the door closes behind him, he smiles and relaxes.
Yeah.
Because he's at work. It's his job.
It's his job.
Yeah, it's his job.
It's his job.
And so I really get that vibe from Gerard in this movie too, of like, I'm just doing my job.
Yeah.
And it really comes through with that exchange in the tunnel with, I didn't kill my wife. I don't care. Like,
I don't care.
Yeah, it's like, I understand this is impacting your entire life, but it's just my job. And so to ride that through line through the entire movie of just really being this hardworking, flippant, but yet this is just my job. Yeah. I think it was a great performance.
Yeah, it gave a good like everyman vibe to it.
Yeah. And my third good is that Nichols twist. Because we knew as soon as we saw Sykes, somebody was behind him. Like, when we saw her die at the beginning of the movie, we didn't know if it was a home invasion. We just didn't know. Because it could have been any of those. Somebody broke into a doctor's house. Yeah, that makes sense. But as the movie went on, and as soon as we met Sykes, we realized this guy didn't... I mean, as soon as you see him, you just know he didn't act alone.
Yeah.
And so... watching that unfold, it did surprise me when I realized it was Nichols. By the time the movie told us it was Nichols, I already knew. But is still, it's like, oh man, like, because he was his closest confidant, you know, and you could tell there really was a friendship there.
Yeah.
But Nichols was twisted, and so I like that Nichols twist.
Yeah, it was a good twist.
Yeah, that was
one you didn't like. You eventually picked up on, but you didn't see right away.
No, not at all. So, and it wasn't anything like Shyamalan either, like to where it was some way out of left field twist. It was just
turns out Gerard was dead the whole time.
Yeah, but he didn't care. So
I see U.S. Marshals.
So those are my three goods. What do you got?
My first good, I'm going to go with just the cat and mouse between Kimble and Gerard's team. Like, just the back and forth between them. How like, Gerard's team, like, how they work the problems and all that. Like, the scene, the scene, like I mentioned before, the scene where they're dropping all the sound and they figure out how Kimble's in Chicago. So, yeah. I love that cat and mouse and how functional Gerard's team is.
Well, and I like it because they had, like, if you are a U.S. Marshal, you are likely the top of your field. Mm-hmm. And so to allow them to figure that out was pretty on point. You know, it would have been different if, like, our two meathead Chicago cops would have been like, you know, like, because you look at these two and you know, like, okay, you guys are just like city detectives. Like, you're probably not going to pick up that clue as quickly. Whereas, I mean, you could tell that Gerard and his crew deserve to be at the level they're at because they're good.
Well, the one cop couldn't see the clue in the first place. That was mustache.
No, he couldn't see that. It was pretty big. He had glasses on anyway. It was like
very dark tinted glasses.
It's like Dr. Bunsen Burner with a mustache.
Yes, with a mustache. Yeah. My second good. You went Tommy Lee Jones. I'm going to go Harrison Ford. I thought Harrison Ford was great.
He was great.
It's the role itself. The performance was a little more subdued than some of his iconic, like an Indiana Jones or a Han Solo type role, but still had that Harrison Ford gravity to him.
Yeah.
But it didn't get so, like, kind of hokey, like action hokey.
It could have.
Like it could have. It very easily could have. There's a couple moments where it almost did, but overall, I really, really liked Harrison Ford's performance in this movie. And then my last good, I'm going to go with just the scene in the hospital with the kid and Julianne Moore.
Yeah.
Kimble took a huge chance to stop and help that kid. He could have just walked out to save himself, but instead he saved the kid. Gives more insight into his character, and it also it eventually, that's kind of where Gerard's team starts putting things together as well.
So.
Had he not done that, had he not taken the risk to linger there, they probably wouldn't have spent, like, why was he at the hospital, and then why was he looking at prosthetics?
Right.
So those are my three goods. Oz, what are your two bads for The Fugitive?
With the 2-hour runtime, it is this isn't Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah.
The movie gets really slow between the dam jump and the stair chase when Kimble's doing his detective work.
Yeah.
Like it really slowed down there. It's still good in quality and watchable, but the beginning was so quick, fast-paced, and action-packed that after the dam jump, everything just kind of stops.
Sure.
And unlike Fury Road, where everything does stop once they get to the green place and decide to turn around, that's more of a breather for the audience.
Yeah.
But
go hit the bathroom.
Right. But in this case, like, this one, it was like 45 minutes of just slow. And so to get all ramped up and then really slam on the brakes until that stair chase scene, it was just a little slow was all. So that's my first bad. My second one is making Sykes look so obviously bad guy. Like,
he does. Like, he just looks like a creep.
Yeah, and it's like it was just heavy handed was all.
Yeah.
Like, we established Sykes as the bad guy, fine, but you made him look like a stereotypical bad guy. Like, you asked a 5-year-old, what does a bad guy look like? And he's like, well, he's got a long coat and a 5-year-old wouldn't tell you has sunken eyes and it's like everything about this guy was like, yeah, you're evil.
Well, some of that I'll say Andreas Katsoulis' performance.
Oh yeah, he did a great job. Yeah, nothing on him at all. But it's just like you look at this guy, you're like, you're a henchman.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, there's no way that you were the only figure in doing this because you just look like a henchman.
Yeah, like straight out of a Bond movie.
Yeah, so that's my second bad, was just making him look so obviously bad guy.
Yeah.
So what are your two bads?
My first one, I'm going to go with Jérôme Crabbe. I'm assuming it's French. I don't know. His performance kind of bothered me.
Yeah.
I don't know. He didn't sell it for me.
No.
I think I read in the trivia that they had somebody else cast in that role, and he was kind of a late ad. I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not. Again, it wasn't a terrible performance, but...
And he was the Nichols character, for those of you that aren't looking at the cast list.
Yes. Yeah, his performance as Nichols, I thought, I don't know, just... It could have been better.
Well, and
I think he was a little miscast.
6 years prior to this, he played a Bond villain. And he played this role like a Bond villain.
Yeah.
Just very matter of fact, I'm better than you, like and it's like you're not, but whatever.
Yeah. So that's my first bad is his casting and performance. My second bad, I got a couple possibilities here. I'm gonna go with my I'll go with I both love and hate the depiction of the Chicago cops. Like it's fun to make fun of, but at the same time, it's like they're probably better at most cops are better at their jobs in this.
Yeah.
And you know, like when they get when they think that Kimble shot the transit cop, they're like, you shoot him on sight.
Oh yeah, so just straight to it. Like forget the marshals, kill on sight.
Yeah, and so it's like there's like a revenge factor there, like a vengeance to it.
Well, and like as soon as they found that out, they're throwing helicopters at it. Like it's like a full citywide, like, oh, he downed one of ours. Like send up a chopper. You know, it's like it's not even your case anymore, and you're like, we don't care what the marshals say.
Yeah. And again, I as you and I, we love to make fun of the Chicago stereotype, and this movie gives us plenty of opportunities to do that. But at the same time, it's a little annoying as well.
Yeah,
like that's the depiction of Chicago. You know.
Yeah. It's that's just because I think we're soft-hearted. Like we like to tease, but this is almost like mean teasing.
Yeah. Well, and again, these two guys appear in several Andrew Davis movies, so and they always play like these types of characters. So. I guess that's my second bad, which is both kind of a good and a bad, I guess. So, hey, Oz, what's your huh for the Fugitive?
Does everyone automatically recognize the U.S. Marshal's badge? Because there were several times in this movie where Gerard's trying to get somewhere and somebody's holding him up, and he just opens his wallet or opens his badge, shuts it, and they just let him pass. Mm-hmm. Now, the U.S. Marshal's badge is... what it looked like was just like a star with embedded in a circle. So it looks like something you could pick up at just like a costume store.
Yeah, you get out of like a quarter machine.
Yeah, it's like, but he just flashes it, and go right ahead. It's like, so apparently all you have to have is determination, a matter of fact attitude, and a cheap looking badge. You can get anywhere you want. So
that reminds me of there's a great Simpsons scene where they were doing like an X-Files send up. This is right when the Simpsons was in like the last throes of being good before they started getting bad, and they had both Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny on, and they were basically playing Mulder and Scully.
Right.
And Mulder introduces himself. I think it was to the Simpsons or whatnot. And you see his wallet open up, and it has like the badge and it says FBI, but the picture is of Mulder in a Speedo. and he says it like Agent Mulder, FBI. And like as you see what's on the screen.
But yeah, that was my huh. It's just how quickly everybody was accepting of the badge shown to them.
Yeah, if you just say it with enough confidence.
Yeah. What's your huh?
My huh is I debated about having this as a good or a bad, because again, this is another thing I both love and hate. There's a movie trope that's in this movie, and it's very subtle. It's when he's breaking into the database in the hospital. And he's trying to find, he's going through the database trying to find people with a certain prosthetic. And you see the computer screen as he's punching in all this data. And there's a running tally every time he updates his data fields. And like So, like, my is there a guy in Hollywood who they just keep around to write these computer programs to appear on screen to make it easy for the audience to recognize?
Oh, that's a good Yeah.
And how do you get that job?
Right.
Because I'm sure that database doesn't actually exist. That actual programs. It was written for this movie.
Right.
Just so you, the audience, could see that number tally from like 57 to 21 to 5.
Yeah.
So that's my is who would Hollywood makes those programs?
That's a
and
good
how
question.
can I do that thing?
Yeah, exactly. How do I get that job?
Yeah, how do I be that guy?
Because you're likely on retainer.
Yeah.
But you're probably in a very nice, comfortable living situation.
Hey, so we need a visual representation of something on a computer screen to dump something down for the audience. You in?
I'm on it.
I don't care.
I don't care. Oh.
So that's The Fugitive.
That's The Fugitive. That was episode 89.
89. Good movie. The Fugitive.
Yeah, it really was.
Very good movie.
Yeah, I didn't realize until it was on this month's theme that it was based on a television show.
Yep.
So, like from the 40s or something like that. Probably not, because there probably wasn't much TV in the 40s.
I think it was early 60s.
Yeah, that's probably a little more right. Yeah.
It was on right after the FDR address.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We this just in. We're going to interrupt this week's episode of The Fugitive for Fireside Chat.
Fireside Chat by FDR. Every week this happens.
So, but we will be back next week for round 3 of good movies based on TV shows, where we are going to move to a different genre of film.
Yes.
The comedy, as we tackle the Brady Bunch movie.
What a fun movie.
I'm glad, because I like it.
Yes.
And when you text me, this movie's good, and at first I'm like, is he being sarcastic or not? Like,
it had probably been a good 15 years since I've seen this movie, and I remember it being silly.
Yeah.
But I watched it again recently, just in prep, and it's funny.
It is. It really is. It's. I think it was directed by a female, I believe, which goes a long way, really. Yeah. Brady Bunch movie. Yeah, Betty Thomas directed it.
Yeah, just silly movie. Doesn't take itself seriously, but still, it doesn't sell out the original show.
No.
It highlights what's silly about it, but also that even though this era was kind of odd, especially when you portray it 20 years later, there was like a wholesomeness to it as well.
To me, I was thinking about this the other day after I watched it. It falls into that same category of movie for me as like Best in Show. Nope. What's the cheerleading movie with Kirsten Dunst?
Bring It On.
Mm-hmm. Where like, if you're a fan of the show, you're gonna love this movie.
Yeah.
And if you like things to be made fun of, you're gonna love this movie. Like that's how I felt about Bring It On. Was cheerleaders are gonna love it, and anti-cheerleaders are gonna love it.
Yes, it both celebrates and makes fun of it.
And so it's just that perfect combination that it's just a fun watch.
Yeah.
And
so we got that to look forward to.
Yeah, we're going to cover that next week. So social media-wise, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. There is a link to Patreon down below if you want to help us out. Otherwise, we will be back next week with the Brady Bunch movie. For Let's Talk About Flicks, I'm Oz.
I'm Curtis.
And we'll see you guys next week.